John sat motionless on the worn leather couch, staring through the window at the storm raging outside. The wind howled, sending sheets of rain against the glass with relentless force. Inside, the house felt cold despite the warmth of the heater. His chest felt tight. He couldn't tell if it was the storm or something deeper. His life had been spiraling for months. Work, relationships, everything felt like a heavy weight on his shoulders. As the storm intensified, so did the pressure inside him. Rex, his German shepherd, sat at his feet, eyes never leaving John. The dog's usual calm demeanor had shifted. His ears were perked, his eyes focused, almost as if he sensed something John couldn't. He shifted restlessly, pacing and returning to John's side, nudging him gently with his nose. The tension in the room deepened, an unspoken understanding between them. Rex was alert. He was aware of something John had yet to acknowledge. John clenched his jaw, dismissing the tightness in his chest as just another symptom of stress. He rubbed his temples, trying to shake the feeling. His vision blurred for a moment, but he pushed it aside. The storm outside seemed to grow louder, a reflection of the storm inside him. "It's just exhaustion," he told himself, but deep down something didn't feel right. Rex's behavior became more erratic. He barked once, sharply, then paced back and forth. His tail no longer wagged with excitement. It hung low, his body tense with a silent urgency. He whined softly, looking back at John, then darting to the door. Rex could feel it, the shift in the air, the change in John's condition. But John remained unaware, wrapped in his own doubts and exhaustion. John felt a sudden warmth against his leg, and looking down, he saw Rex's head resting there, his body curled close. It was as if the dog was offering comfort, trying to protect him from the storm inside. A strange calm washed over John, a connection so deep he couldn't explain it. But it felt like Rex knew what was coming. John's chest tightened. At first, he thought it was the stress, the constant pressure of deadlines, unanswered emails, and the overwhelming weight of everything in his life. But the pain was growing, sharper now. His vision blurred for a moment, and he rubbed his eyes, trying to clear the fog. Outside, the storm picked up, the wind battering against the windows with a ferocity that mirrored the storm inside him. He gripped the armrest, trying to steady himself, but his body betrayed him. This wasn't just stress. It was something much worse. Rex was at his feet, his eyes wide with concern. The German shepherd's usual calm demeanor had shifted into something urgent. He leapt to his feet and started pacing, his sharp, worried barks filling the air. He nudged John's side with his nose, harder this time, his body tense. John barely registered it, too consumed with the tightening pain in his chest. "It's fine, Rex, just give me a minute," John muttered. But Rex wouldn't back down, his anxious eyes fixed on John's every move. The pressure in John's chest was unbearable now. His vision was dimming, the edges of everything around him blurring. Rex's barking became frantic, louder, more desperate. The dog paced in circles, jumping up to nudge John again, growling softly, his stance tense. The urgency in Rex's actions finally pierced John's foggy thoughts. There was something wrong, something serious, but he couldn't bring himself to acknowledge it. "I'll be fine," he whispered, even as the darkness closed in. In a sudden, unexpected movement, Rex dashed toward the phone. He grabbed the cord in his mouth and tugged it toward John, as if he knew exactly what was needed. John, in his stupor, couldn't comprehend what was happening at first. Rex didn't stop. He pulled harder, looking back at John with those wide, intent eyes. It hit John like a jolt. Rex wasn't just worried. Rex was trying to save him. The dog's instincts were guiding him in ways John couldn't begin to understand. The world tilted and spun as John's legs buckled beneath him. His body hit the floor, a deep, agonizing pain shooting through his chest. But Rex was already there. He nudged John, dragging him with surprising strength, pulling him closer to the phone. With unshakable precision, Rex's mouth gripped the phone's receiver, pawing at the buttons. The 911 operator's voice rang through the receiver, and John, still dazed, felt a rush of emotion. His dog had saved him, doing what John couldn't do for himself. The paramedics arrived moments later, just in time. They rushed in, assessing the situation, quickly stabilizing John. Rex stayed by his side, his eyes never leaving John, his body still alert and protective. As the paramedics worked, John's mind struggled to catch up with what had just happened. His loyal dog, his friend, had just saved his life, and John realized in that moment just how much he had underestimated Rex. The bond between them was deeper than he had ever imagined. As John lay in the sterile hospital bed, the beeping of the heart monitor was the only sound in the room. His chest still ached, but not just from the attack. It was the overwhelming shock that left him disoriented. His mind kept replaying the chaotic events. Rex, frantic, pulling the phone cord toward him, dialing 911 with a precision that stunned him. How could a dog, a loyal companion, have known exactly what needed to be done in that moment? John couldn't stop thinking about it. His thoughts spiraled. Rex wasn't just a dog anymore. He was something more, something he didn't understand. Their connection had deepened in a way John had never anticipated. Once John returned home, Rex never left his side. The dog's loyalty was unwavering, as if he understood that John needed him more than ever. Rex stayed close, curling up beside him on the couch, his body always within reach. John felt comfort in Rex's presence, as if the dog's steady breathing and gentle nudge offered silent reassurance. It was more than companionship, it was an unspoken promise of protection. Rex had saved his life, and now, more than ever, he was John's guardian, a presence that anchored him through the storm of recovery. As the days passed, John began to notice something strange. Rex would grow anxious around certain people, his behavior shifting from calm to alert in an instant. The dog would circle, ears perked, and eyes scanning the room as if reading something invisible. At times, Rex would grow agitated when John was on the phone or in a crowd, his body tense, his eyes locked on John, as though trying to protect him from something he couldn't see. It left John with a nagging feeling. Rex seemed to sense things he couldn't. There was something more, some hidden knowledge the dog possessed, and it was becoming impossible to ignore. It wasn't long before John realized that Rex's instincts went beyond just being protective. One afternoon, as John stood by the window, Rex suddenly stood at attention, staring out into the street. Before John could even register the cause, a car engine roared to life just outside. Rex had reacted moments before the sound even reached John's ears. It happened again the next day when Rex reacted to a neighbor's car starting. It was as if Rex knew what was coming, predicting events before they unfolded. John couldn't deny it anymore. Rex wasn't just intuitive. He was extraordinary. But the question lingered. How? Why? What was driving this newfound sensitivity? Despite the unsettling behavior, John couldn't ignore the small, tender moments he shared with Rex. The dog had always followed his commands, but now there was something different in how they communicated. In moments of stress, Rex would place his head on John's lap, his calm presence a grounding force. John found himself trusting Rex in ways he hadn't before, relying on his companion not just for loyalty, but for comfort. Whether it was a gentle nudge or simply sitting by his side, these moments continued to deepen their bond, weaving threads of trust and understanding that couldn't be easily broken. Amidst the serious moments, there were times when Rex's playful nature shone through, bringing lightness to John's heart. Rex would fetch John's slippers with a wagging tail, his mouth clumsily but eagerly grabbing the shoes and presenting them like a prize. John chuckled, a rare sound after the intensity of recent days. The little things, like Rex's excited greeting at the door, or the way he plopped down at John's feet, rolling onto his back for a belly rub, reminded John of the simple joy of companionship. Their bond wasn't just about survival, it was about love, laughter, and shared moments of peace. Despite their growing bond, a sense of unease lingered in John's heart. He began to question Rex's strange behavior. Could it all be just instinct, or was there something more? Why did Rex react so strongly to certain people or situations? Why did he seem to understand John's every need without being told? John couldn't shake the feeling that there was a hidden layer to Rex, a secret the dog had been keeping. The loyalty was undeniable, but was there a deeper, inexplicable connection that neither of them fully understood? John was beginning to wonder if Rex was more than just a dog, if Rex was in some way extraordinary. John sat in the sterile exam room, his heart racing for a different reason now. He hadn't expected to hear what the veterinarian was about to say. The doctor had just finished examining Rex and looked at John with a mixture of surprise and concern. "Rex has an implant under his skin," the vet said slowly, tapping the clipboard. "It looks like it was inserted years ago. This is part of something bigger. A military program, perhaps." John blinked, confusion washing over him. Rex, his loyal companion, a former soldier? His mind reeled, trying to process this new revelation. The mystery of Rex's abilities grew deeper. The veterinarian continued, explaining how Rex had been part of a special program designed to train dogs for medical emergencies. The implant Rex carried wasn't just for identification. It was a life-saving device that allowed Rex to sense human vital signs like heart rate and blood pressure. "He's been trained to react to changes in human physiology," the vet explained, clearly astonished. John's eyes widened as the pieces clicked into place. Rex had saved his life, not just through loyalty, but with an almost supernatural intuition. But this new knowledge unsettled John. Was Rex truly his? Or had his purpose always been something else? John's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts. Rex had saved his life. His bravery, his actions in the critical moment, they were all beyond what John could have imagined from a dog. But now, knowing about the implant, it felt like Rex was more than just a pet. He was a trained instrument of something bigger, a tool. John wrestled with his emotions, torn between awe and discomfort. His heart swelled with gratitude, yet a small seed of doubt planted itself in his mind. Could he ever see Rex the same way again? Or would the knowledge of Rex's past always cast a shadow over their bond? Despite his inner turmoil, the bond between John and Rex was tested again just days later. During a family gathering, John began to feel the familiar tightness in his chest. His breath became shallow and the room seemed to spin. Rex, lying quietly nearby, stood up at once, his body tense. John's symptoms were escalating. Rex's behavior was calm but urgent. The dog nudged John gently, guiding him to sit down, then circled him anxiously. John struggled to focus, but Rex wouldn't leave his side. With one final desperate nudge, Rex pulled John toward the safety of the couch, staying by his side as if knowing exactly what needed to be done. The dog didn't just sense the danger, he had acted before John's mind could fully process the situation. Rex's presence, his silent command, saved him once again. As John recovered from the scare, he realized that his bond with Rex had reached an unspoken, unbreakable level. The implant, the program, none of it mattered anymore. What mattered was the fact that Rex had always been there for him, not as a tool or a machine, but as a companion, a protector, and a friend. John finally understood. Rex's actions weren't just instinctive. They were driven by something far more profound. He made the decision right then and there. He would trust Rex completely, despite the uncertainties about his past. Rex was no longer a soldier or a tool. He was family. As John reflected on everything, he realized the truth. Their bond went beyond the surface. It wasn't just about loyalty or the life-saving instincts Rex displayed. It was about something deeper, something that transcended the physical. Rex had gone from a mere pet to a protector and a trusted friend. The secret of Rex's origins didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that Rex had chosen him, and that was a connection that could never be broken. As John sat in the quiet of his living room, his eyes never left Rex. The dog, still loyal, still ever present, sat at his feet, looking up at him with those familiar, knowing eyes. The revelation of Rex's secret no longer felt like a betrayal. It was simply part of who Rex was, his past, his purpose, but that didn't change the love between them. John reached out and ran a hand through Rex's fur, smiling softly. "You're still my dog," he murmured. "And you always will be." For the first time since the discovery, John felt a peace settle in his chest. He had accepted Rex, fully and completely, just as Rex had accepted him. As John's physical recovery progressed, so did his emotional healing. With each passing day, he grew stronger. But it wasn't just the medicine or time that helped. It was Rex, always by his side, never leaving him alone. Rex's presence was a constant comfort, a reminder that even in the hardest moments, John wasn't alone. Whether it was a reassuring nudge when John felt exhausted or the gentle warmth of Rex's body beside him at night, their bond deepened. They were both healing. John from his heart attack and Rex from the weight of his secret. Together, they were learning to move forward. Rex's role in John's life had always been important, but now it was clear that it went beyond the extraordinary actions that saved John's life. It wasn't just about the heart attack. It was about Rex's unwavering loyalty, his love, and his constant support. John began to see Rex not just as a lifesaver, but as a symbol of the strength that had pulled him through the darkest days of his life. Each day, Rex's presence reminded John that no matter what happened, he had someone beside him, someone who loved him without question, without hesitation. Time passed, and with each day, John and Rex's bond grew deeper. No longer did John focus on the implant or Rex's past. The future stretched out before them, full of possibility. Rex was no longer just a protector. He was family. The worry that had once clouded John's mind now faded, replaced by a quiet confidence. Their relationship had evolved into something pure and undeniable, founded on trust, love, and mutual respect. John no longer questioned what Rex could do. Instead, he focused on what they could build together. A new chapter was beginning, a chapter filled with hope, healing, and an unbreakable connection. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soft oranges and purples, John and Rex sat together, side by side. There were no words between them, but none were needed. The quiet was enough. Rex lay at John's feet, his head resting on the floor, eyes half closed in contentment. John took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything that had passed, the fear, the uncertainty, the pain, and let it all go. This moment, this simple moment of peace, was everything. Their bond wasn't something that needed explaining. It was simply there, timeless and enduring, like the sun setting slowly over the horizon. As John sat with Rex at his side, watching the sun dip below the horizon, he marveled at the bond they shared. It wasn't just a connection born from need, but from something deeper, something that couldn't be explained. Rex had saved his life, but it was more than that. It was the trust, the loyalty, the love that had formed between them, transcending the boundaries of species. In Rex's eyes, John saw not just a dog, but a true companion, a protector, and a friend. They weren't two separate beings, they were a team, united by a force that couldn't be broken. John's understanding of trust was forever changed. He had always thought of trust as a simple act of reliance, but Rex had shown him that true trust was built on something far stronger. Rex's loyalty wasn't out of obligation or training. It was rooted in a deep, unspoken understanding between them. Even after learning of Rex's past, John recognized that Rex's actions were never about a program or technology. They were about something pure, unwavering commitment. Their relationship was built on a mutual respect and love, each one protecting the other in ways that words could never fully capture. Through his journey with Rex, John learned that compassion doesn't know boundaries. Rex's care for him wasn't born from the implant that had once been a part of him. It wasn't a pre-programmed reaction, it was instinctual, the kind of care that came from a heart full of love. John had come to understand that animals too feel deeply, and their care and loyalty go beyond what we may ever comprehend. This realization opened his heart to a new understanding of the unspoken bonds we share with the animals in our lives. As John reflected on his time with Rex, he realized that the most important relationships, whether human or animal, are built on a foundation of mutual love, care, and respect. It wasn't just about Rex's protection. It was about the trust John had placed in Rex and the care Rex showed in return. Their bond wasn't one-sided. It was a constant exchange of love and devotion. John understood that this mutual exchange was what made their relationship so special, and it was something he would treasure forever. John couldn't help but smile as he looked at Rex, his loyal companion. What started as a simple relationship between a man and his dog had become something much deeper. Rex, the dog he had once thought was just a pet, had proven to be his lifesaver, his protector, his constant source of comfort. John now understood that the greatest gifts often come from the most unexpected places. Rex had given him more than he could ever have imagined, a gift of love, care, and a bond that would last a lifetime.